When fans talk about Larry Stylinson, Harry Styles and Louis Tomlinson, the word that comes up again and again is destiny. Not PR, not a stunt, not a storyline. Destiny. And the thing about destiny is that once it locks onto you, you can't really shake it. So let's talk about how true love, the kind that Larry Stylinson symbolizes, actually protects not only your heart, your soul, but also your body and even the choices in life. Because sometimes love that is so complete, so transformative, it's that way, and it is such that it doesn't just pass through you, it stays. It, it imprints, and it makes it impossible to imagine anyone else ever holding the same place. Part 1, the Larry archetype, protection and loyalty. From the earliest One Direction days, fans picked up on the subtleties. The way Harry leaned into Louis like it was the safest place on earth. The way Louis looked at Harry with quiet loyalty, as though saying, I've got you, no matter what the world throws at us. That's not just body language, that's soul language. And in Larry Stylinson, you see that archetype over and over again. The protector and the anchor, the spark and the shield. What fascinates fans is how it was never about public declarations. It was about micro moments, a hand brushed, an inside joke, the warmth that no manager, no contract, no closet could orchestrate. True love, when it shows up, has a protective function. It wraps itself around you in ways the outside world might not even notice. But you notice. You feel it in your body. You feel it in your nervous system calming down when they are near. You feel it when you finally exhale, like, oh, I'm safe here. I think that's why many people resonate so deeply with Larry Stylinson and the whole story arc that it entails. Because beyond the celebrity context, everyone longs for that kind of bond. A love that is not casual, not interchangeable, not just another fling in a long line. A love that protects you body and soul. So when one reflects on this archetype, it can bring up something personal. And people may realize in those moments, and they'll even say it plainly, things such as, I don't want to be with anyone else after knowing that kind of love, or after having known what it is to be in that person's presence. Because when something has reached so deep into your body and your life, it's actually not about being stuck in the past. It's about recognizing that nothing else feels equal. And that's why you hear about people like Taya Kyle, who stayed faithful to Chris Kyle's memory. She's the widow of the the movie The American Sniper. It was a biopic about Chris Kyle. So she's the widow of Chris Kyle. And then there's Terri Irwin, the widow of Steve Irwin, who still honors Steve Irwin as her one great love. Or Lauren London, who was the girlfriend of Nipsey Hussle before he passed away suddenly. And she speaks of him as irreplaceable. She has actually said, Lauren London has said that she doesn't care to ever be in a relationship again because she has known true love. And it was so satisfying that she doesn't feel that she's going to miss out on anything by not finding someone again. I don't think it means she's closed off. It's just that she's not in a hurry to replace him because he's irreplaceable. It's like once you've known great love, it's almost like it would cheapen the memory to just go on. It's really hard to explain. I have a hard time finding the words for this. But all of that makes so much sense because these are not people trapped in grief. They are people who found a love so singular, so defining, that they chose to keep fidelity even after loss. And honestly, many can say, I understand that. So, part 2, Larry as a mirror of permanence. So when you watch Harry and Louis through the years, it's not the grand gestures that tell the story. It's rather the endurance. It's the way that even after the forced separation, even after PR relationships, even after solo careers, continuous stunting, the bond is still felt. You can put oceans between them, contracts between them, narratives between them, but you cannot erase what was imprinted. And that's the thing about a bond like this. It does not obey normal timelines. People say, move on, find someone new. Life is long. But when a connection is both emotional and physical, both safe and electric, both grounding and transcendent, how do you, quote unquote, move on from that? Right? Well, you just, you integrate it, but you don't move on. It's not like, oh, my pen's run out of ink, I'm going to go buy a new one. No, it's not that way. It's like you can't replace a beautiful quill pen with like a ballpoint one. So you don't move on. You integrate it. You live with it. And you accept that that bond is not disposable. So part 3, why some loves can't be replaced. So in literature, myth, and fandom, there's always this story about the love that defines a lifetime. Sometimes it's celebrated, sometimes it's forbidden, sometimes it's closeted, but it's always the one the heart refuses to let go of. Or more accurately, it's the one the heart cannot let go of. You can cord cut till you're blue in the face, and it just is there. It has you. You don't have it. And Larry Stylinson is one modern myth of that. And behind the fandom noise, the lesson is universal. When you've been truly seen, truly chosen, and truly protected, it changes what you believe about love. It raises your baseline. It raises your expectations. Perhaps that's why some people remarry quickly after loss and others never do. It's not weakness or fear. Maybe it's discernment. It's knowing that once you've had the rarest thing, you can't trade down. It's, I don't want to merge my body soul with somebody that's lesser than, because it's like if I have had a Mercedes Benz, right? If I've had like the top of the line Mercedes Benz, I ain't getting into like a Chevrolet. Sorry. It's like you don't want to overwrite that kismet connection with something that's blah or something that's just, it almost cheapens it if you overwrite it with something else. Um, I'm not saying people should just wear black the rest of their lives. Definitely not saying that. I'm just saying that it's not about deprivation, it's about fidelity. Because, if you ever like, okay, prescription grade skincare, like the one you can't get unless a doctor prescribes it for you, works phenomenally well. And if you stop using it and you just buy like really, middle of the road, over the counter stuff from the CVS or the whatever the local drugstore is, right? The skin will notice it because it's used to a certain quality level of ingredients and a potency. The skin will actually notice it. So that's why the minute, I hate to be on a tangent here, but if you switch from prescription grade skincare to something like that, because you just figure, oh, it's all marketing anyway, which sometimes that's right. But your skin, it's actually even worse for the skin to experience a downgrade. So if that's just skincare could do that, could you imagine what it would be to downgrade from that kismet, twin soul, twin flame kind of connection to something that's a relationship that's just kind of good enough, filling the space, whatever, get someone to buy me stuff. Do you see what I mean by cheapen it? It's not it's not an indictment against the other person. That other person is somebody else's wonderful twin flame love. And in that sense too, you don't want to keep somebody from their divine person because you can't be lonely. It's kind of like if you're not going to marry her, like you see these dating coaches that are really into the traditional stuff. They'll say, if you're not going to marry the girl, let her go because you're holding up someone else's wife. And there's this thing called karma. So if you hold up somebody else's wife by wasting a girl's time who belongs with somebody who's going to really honor and cherish her, then another person's going to do that to the person that's intended for you. And that works for men and women. It's not just something that's an indictment against men. That is true. So in the spirit of all things love, yes, that's another reason why, don't waste someone else's time. You know why? Because if you waste their time, someone's going to waste your time. That's just how things work. I'm not a superstitious person. It's just, to me, I think of it more in terms of physics, like equal opposite action. Things have to balance, negative, positive ions. I think kind of like in that kind of structure. So when someone says, I don't want to be with anyone else, it's not about being stuck. It's about acknowledging that some loves are singular, They are not categories. They are one-offs. They are one in a lifetime. Like a song that could only have been written once. That's why cover songs very rarely do better than the original, unless it's a really talented person that can sing it. But even then, it's always never the original. And Harry and Louis symbolize that for millions of people who didn't choose to meet, didn't choose circumstances, but found themselves tethered anyway. And even if they can't say it aloud, the tether remains visible and it's palpable. Other people can feel it. And so it's not unusual for some Larry fans to say, for me, that Larry's a mirror of what it means to find the kind of love that endures beyond absence, beyond silence, beyond time. It's the love that protects your mind, your body, your soul, and even your memory. And that is why, whether you believe in Larry or not, the archetype matters. It's a reminder that some loves are so true, so protective, so anchored, that you just don't, quote unquote, move on from them. You carry them, you honor them, and in some cases, you choose to never let anyone else occupy that space. Kind of reminds me of the story I remember hearing of as a child, that there was, I guess there was this tradition or phenomenon after the Second World War of young women and women actually of all ages, but particularly young women whose husbands, they didn't come back. They were missing in action, or they were a fallen soldier, and the wives, no matter how young they were, would wear black for the rest of their lives because in I remember hearing that this was something that a friend of mine who was Italian told me that this was a thing that you saw, or people would see, like the boomer generation beyond would see this. I don't think that's quite the case now, because those widows, I believe, would have passed on if they were World War II widows. But I think it might have been a combination of it being a very Catholic country. But I have heard this, and it's on one hand someone who took their vows so seriously, but I think it's more than that. I think it's the fidelity to having found true love.